I'm Scott Allen Miller. It is the 18th of September, 2022, and this is my vlog of daily life in Nicaragua. It's Sunday. Welcome to the show. Grab your coffee. Let's sit down and have a chat about the day. You know, almost always, it's really consistent, I don't get a chance to get out and film until pretty much the end of the day, and I'm always fighting with the sunset to be able to get out, because here by about 5 o'clock I can't record anymore, so I have to get out before that. But I have so many different things I have to record and so much stuff I have to do to get ready for it, that can be a real challenge. So I block off my calendar from 3 till 6 every day just to be able to do these recordings for you guys, and it's still a major challenge to get out. And I was thinking about it as I was walking out just now to get ready to record, and I said, you know, I'm always recording in the same direction for you guys when I come out. Because of the time of day that I'm coming out, I got to have the sun on my face so that I can do the recording, and so it really limits the places that I can go. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go down, and I'm planning on turning the camera around and walking with the sun behind me so you can see to the other direction, so we can go at least a little bit different than we normally do, because I just need some more interesting things to go to, and I have not had a chance this week to really get out and do a lot of long walks for you guys. I guess on Friday I did a bit, but by now I'm feeling itchy to go some more places, and I haven't not been able to do as much as I would like, and I'm constantly walking in the same places, and I'm trying to avoid standing in the courtyard and recording. That was a long-winded explanation as to why we're heading down where we are and gonna record some stuff. So let's spin the camera around. I love this new house. This is being built. Kat really wanted to come see this one and didn't get to. One of the things I love about this, first of all, you can really see the kind of construction that they're doing, but this entryway, first of all, it's gorgeous. It has this little extended thing in the front. This is Charlie. He came down and followed me. Normally he's from a couple blocks away, and I don't know his real name. Remember, I just made that up. But this actually has open to the top floor in that first, oh, they're shooing him away. He's such a sweet boy. And buenas tardes. And it's open when you first enter up to the second floor. Here, Charlie's coming along with me. He's like, you're my buddy. So because of that, it's kind of unique. It's very rare to find that in Nicaraguan architecture. And so I really like that house. It's got a lot of cool potential. I mean, we've been watching it get built since we moved here to Leon. This is a spot where I walk the dogs very commonly every day. And of course, Charlie's always walking with us. So when I come out, he likes to come along with me. So it's Sunday. It was a busy weekend. Today was kind of my recovery day, mostly to get videos done. I had to work on videos all day for you guys. So hung out a little bit this morning, did some relaxing, had my coffee and stuff, but by about 10:30 or so, I was stuck into the office and did videos all day. I got a lot done, and a lot of it is uploads and downloads and processing and all that kind of stuff. Like, there really is a lot of logistics that go, and this week's been so busy that I got way behind. But typically on a normal day, I put in a few hours getting videos either recorded. Obviously, I have to put in as much time as there is in a video in order to record it. That's, I hope, obvious in some sort of way. And I then have to edit it, which takes a good 2 to 3 times as much time as that in the first place. And a lot going on in this corner today, including another cute little dog. And then I'm going to show this little grassy area here. My dogs love to come down here and go do what you do in grassy areas as a dog. And so that was pretty much my Sunday. We did get dinner brought in from the hotel today, which was nice. Hung out with the girls a little bit, but we didn't go anywhere today. We didn't really do anything. Dominica did some baking this morning. She made bagels, and yesterday she made a chocolate cake. So this is her second attempt at making bagels around the house at home, and they're turning out pretty well. This batch is definitely better than the last one, so that's nice, because we don't have a good way to get bagels most of the time, especially here in the city, on the beach in Las Piñitas. We can get them from Chris and Jen, but they don't have them all that often, and especially right now, Chris is in Canada, so we don't have the supply. So being able to make them at home is great. Plus, we like the kinds that we like, which is pretty much sesame and cinnamon, so that's what we have. In case you're wondering, I am on 6th Street Southwest, SO, heading east, and this is Laborio. But if you look forward and you see the end of the road and all those trees down there, that is Guadalupe in front of me, and that's the way we're heading. All right, so Not a lot to report today. The girls played some video games. They had a nice day hanging out on their own. We had a lot of storms and fireworks today, so the dogs were extra scared and they pretty much hid in the house all day. So I did get a bit of walking around in the rain today, and I had a lot of nice walks with Clive, and it gave me some time just to myself, and I was thinking, and I was thinking of this topic of the way that we shop and the way that we perceive things when we live in Nicaragua, and something that I think is hard to really fathom how much this is going to change you as a person and how much differently people see the world from here. The concept of shopping is so different than it is back in the United States or really anywhere with Amazon, really. But coming from the United States, we have such a strong cultural expectation that shopping for new things, buying new things, acquiring stuff is part of everyday life. And I say that, and of course we say that as Americans, right? It's an easy thing to just say, oh, we're very consumeristic, blah, blah, blah. But we don't really think about it. We know we buy a lot of stuff. We know we buy a lot of stuff we don't need. That's a given. But it goes much deeper than that, I think, and in ways that people don't really realize. It can be the simplest things from you need a new component for something, and so you just run to the store and grab it. Or you need a new camera or a new USB memory stick, and you just go on Amazon and order it, and you may have it in a few hours, or maybe it'll come tomorrow. Worst case, you may have to wait a few days. Every little thing that you want is generally really easy to acquire, and it's so easy and it's so frequent that we do it. We actually stop thinking about it, and we don't think of those things as being consumeristic because they're not items that we particularly desire. They're not items that we use to show off how much money we can spend, or things that we can, they're not, hola! And so they're very different than what we think of. It's not like you're buying flashy new clothes or jewelry or anything like that. You're not buying status symbols, or it's just common household goods that you could need on any given day. And in many cases, it's purely practical. Why did you buy this new memory stick? Well, I had to reload an operating system and I wanted to be quick about it. So I needed one. I'm gonna have to do it all the time. It was $5, so I picked it up. Great, makes a lot of sense. Of course you would buy that. There's no reason not to. But that is something you can't easily do here. I can't just go to the store and buy a memory stick. If I wanted to do that, I have to make a big effort. There might be somewhere in Leon to buy it, but I don't know where. So I'd have to research that. I may have to go to several stores. I'd have to make a lot of trips, and there's every possibility that I'm gonna have to go into Managua to do that. So now we're talking about hours of travel and a major, major thing. And maybe I can send someone to go shopping for me, but again, it's a lot more effort. It's a completely different thing. I can't just hop on a website, say, ooh, that's the one I want, click a button, and have it show up at my door, even quite some time in the future. So those little things like that completely change your approach to everyday living in really important ways. And it's interesting because at first you think this is going to be this huge inconvenience. And of course it's a change. And it is an inconvenience because in America it is such an incredible convenience to have access to things in that manner. But it also changes the approach that you take to many things. You start rethinking what you purchase, and you say to yourself, well, I'm going to really contemplate this purchase. Do I really need this thing? Can I borrow this from someone? If I purchase it, is it something I will need something different soon? Can I get by with something else? Is there something more practical I should be buying? You really stop and think about your purchases and make them meaningful and make them count every time. And that's not to say that one way is good and one way is bad. It is only that they are very different. And it will really quickly become a part of the way you view the world when you're here. Because if you go to someplace like, say, Mexico or Colombia or Argentina, those places maintain strong logistics flows. And while they may not be as good as the US for being able to buy anything you want and having it delivered in a matter of hours, they do have the ability to shop for most anything and get pretty much anything one way or another pretty easily. And that is very different than Nicaragua. And here, everyone we know who has been here for any length of time has the massive change in their mentality to buy in bulk when you can and buy as little as necessary. And when you want something, you have to really want it and really know that it's the thing that makes sense. And you're going to put in a lot of time making sure it's the right thing. You're going to research it and you're going to think about it. Hola. And make that a very conscious decision. For me, for example, one of the things I like to buy are cameras. I do a lot of work with my cameras. As you know, I'm doing it right now. I do it every day. Oh, as a dog with a hit leg. At least he's doing okay. Oh, that stuff stresses me out. We had a very bad weekend with a friend's dog who has been hit by a truck and is going to have to be euthanized because of all the damage. And we spent a lot of time and money over the weekend trying to get him x-rays and to see a doctor. And it's just horrible. And it's really affecting me. I'm also going uphill. That's affecting me too. So in buying cameras, if I was in the United States, I would often be spending free time looking at websites to see what's on sale, what's available, what new models are coming. And when you watch YouTube, which I do a lot, and watch shows about cameras and photography, they're constantly getting the latest lenses and cameras and so many different ones and trying them out all the time. This is a Fratanga getting ready for dinner. And buenas tardes. And it's very tempting to buy things all the time. And when you're here, for me to buy a new camera is generally a 6 month, not a 6 hour thought process. I'm going to sit down, look at what's out there, contemplate it carefully, consider every option, consider how large it is, how much it costs, how hard to get into country, how hard to repair. In case you don't see this, there's a little dog up on the upper balcony. He's so cute. He's just looking down on everybody. That is hilarious. And buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
And those decisions become really meaningful. And it tends to be not just how much does it cost to get or how hard is it to get, but you also really worry about how you're going to store it, because everyone lives here in a way where storage is not really a thing. There's not that much to store because people aren't buying things. And so houses aren't designed particularly around having lots of storage because you just don't have that much to store. And the lifestyle changes, and where and how you spend money is very, very different. And it's hard to describe, but it's real, it's palpable, and it affects your everyday life. And we all feel it, and we all talk about it. When you've been here for 6 months or 12 months, and especially now where we're above 18 months, our mentality has totally changed. And anytime we think about shopping or buying anything, it is a really big deal. One of the few things that has remained something we don't really think about too much is video games. And that's interesting because video games don't take up any space. GOG or Steam or Epic or whatever, when we buy things on there, they are, one, they're digital and ephemeral. So purchasing them, they don't take up any space in the house. We don't have to deal with it. We don't have to acquire it. It's all completely automatic. The second thing is that, especially GOG, they heavily, buenas tardes, discount for Nicaragua. So we're getting games pennies on the dollar because it is a digital product for this market, and it is much, much cheaper than it is back in the US. And so it makes it so much easier to be something that we purchase, and it's something that we get an advantage of purchasing here rather than something we get disadvantaged in purchasing here like we would with, say, a camera. So that's one thing that we tend to still buy much like we used to. But otherwise, everything is a very, very conscious decision. We notice it in the kids as well. They pretty much never ask for anything. They have essentially no desire for objects. Of course, Luciana wants paints and paintbrushes and clay and things of that nature because she does artwork and she wants to be able to continue doing that, and we get those things. But that's about it. When we say, what do you want for Christmas? They say, I don't really want anything. We have everything that we want. And then she'll think of something, very specific, some crochet, some small object that she has a problem getting here, some part for, I don't know what you use for crochet, so I can't speak to it, but something of that nature she requests, and that's about it. and they're interested in a Steam Deck for Christmas, which would be awesome. But the reason that they want it, of course, is because it is small and portable and something that they can use and move around and make sense in Nicaragua, something they've spent a year thinking about, and specifically saves them a bunch of space and uses less power and lets them work should the power be out. Those things, it's just an amazing effect. Look at these cute little cats. Oh, I scared them. They ran away. At least they're safe. Oh, there he is. He's hiding. This is exactly the car that Dominica and I used to have. And so it's an amazing thing. And when that happens, when you get here, and at first it's like this really big problem. How do you deal with life when you can't just go buy things and you have to adjust to that? But later, once you've been here, it becomes this wonderful thing of, I don't have the urge to go out and buy things either. That has changed. Sure, I want a new camera. Sure, I want a new video game. But there's the overall, the amount that I sit around going, oh, I got to have the latest and greatest. No, that effect really fades away. And amazingly, it's much more, when I look at computers, I think, is this tiny? Does this use low power? Will this fit in my space? Will it be easy to move around? Is it practical? And I take a much more practical approach to everything that I consider buying than I ever would have if I was still in the United States. In the United States, my mentality would just automatically be, well, I think this will be really interesting, I should get it. And here it's, does this really meet an actual need? Is it worth the effort for me to go get this thing? And if not, I'm happy to not get things. Buenas tardes. There's a weird little vehicle driving up here. I can't tell if that's like a Jeep or a go-kart with like a Jeep theme. I don't know. And what's great is, of course, as you start to stop feeling the need to buy things, you also obviously spend far, far less money in ways you would not have predicted. This corner house is really cute. They have a neat corner with a neat balcony. This is a nice little area. I like the colors down there. And this is a cool house I'm coming up on. I am in Guadalupe, just a reminder. That is where I am. I don't know all the streets up here. I know a lot, but not all by any stretch. And so once you adjust to that, the cost of living just plummets. But it doesn't plummet in a way where you feel a negative impact. You don't have this, it's terrible and I have to put up with it. It actually changes the way that you think about things in such a way that I'm actually like, I am so much relieved that, I'm not beholden to all the things that I feel like I should be shopping for. I don't need to go buy something. I don't need to be shopping as entertainment. I don't need to always have something new to open from Amazon that day. I don't want that stuff. I don't want to deal with the packaging. I don't want to deal with the shipping cost. I don't want to deal with maybe getting the wrong thing. I don't want to deal with choosing something. I want to be done with the day, go to a nice restaurant, sit and enjoy some live music, sit on the beach, watch a baseball game or whatever. The experiential living is so different than the product living that you actually tend to, because I've had lots of people say the same thing. This isn't just my take on it. I've spoken to so many expats who say, wow, I feel better not buying things, and not buying things gives me more money to go do things or to work less. And that's one of the interesting takes that I also have from being an employer here in Nicaragua, something that's very different. And one of the things that is hidden, I think, by the fact that this is a low income country, and when you're looking at the incomes, you say, well, it's, they're really, really struggling. It's very difficult with their current economy. By the way, I'm coming up on the food trucks on the south side of the Iglesia Guadalupe, and I have the school, the Ruben Dario High School or Colegio here on the left. So in case you're looking at a map and trying to figure out where I am, I'm on the bottom left, so the southwest corner of the Guadalupe Square. Wasn't quite sure where I was going to pop up. That's where we are. And I'm going to go around the square because it's really interesting. A lot of good food out here. I love the Guadalupe culture. I love all the stuff they have going on. We got a bus, it's coming right at us. You can kind of see the basilica out in the distance. There's so much food on this square. It's crazy. So hopefully you'll be able to read them as we go by. A lot of burgers. That's always the big thing. And I've done a bit of filming in this area, but I've never like gone around the square for you guys. So that'll be a little bit different. When talking to employees here, something that's actually really common is finding that people are happy with part-time work. If you can get enough work that your bills are paid, which of course can be a struggle, but if you get to that point, there's a really good chance you're going to consider not doing any additional work, because the ability to be home with free time, to spend time with your kids, to go out and enjoy the park, to go for a walk, to sit out and have a meal at the time that you want, those things are valued and really important. And life is lived away from work, right? And so as long as you have enough income, there's a very high drive towards that's enough. And if you have a family with dual income, if one spouse is bringing home enough and the other doesn't have to work, they won't work. Or if they do, they only work part-time. And often when you work part-time, you get better value per hour, right? So if you work 20 hours a week, you typically earn more than 50% of if you worked 40 hours a week. And if you work 10 hours, it's a little bit more than half of if you work 20. So there's some logic to that as well. But that you would opt for that. In America, that would almost never happen. If a job presented itself, if you weren't full-time, you would jump at any chance to have more work, even if it wasn't hour by hour increasing at the same rate. It's just the nature of how we are in the US, and that is a lot for our economy, but it also means that almost everyone works obscene amounts of hours, even when it's unnecessary. And that effect, for the most part, is different here. And that changes a lot of things because it lowers the perceived income, but it also, in reality, lowers the worked hours in a way that we don't measure coming from other places. Coming from the US, we don't talk about how much people earn per hour. We only talk about how much they earn as a percentage of the GDP. And so that effect is something we miss, and it really has a large impact on what life is like and how it's lived, and in explaining why life is the way that it is here, because it's difficult to explain all the different aspects of what makes Nicaragua, and but it's an important one. And when you understand that, it gives you this ability to kind of perceive how does an economy that is so much smaller than we expect, or than we're used to, both in total size and in per capita, to be able to do as well as it does. And that's a major reason why, because the quality of life is taken as being so much more important than the economy of life. And that creates a wonderful environment, but one that it takes a lot to get used to, especially coming from the US. I think coming from the US more than anywhere, it can be difficult to understand what it's like. And another thing that plays into that, that's also very similar, is the concept of generational support at home. I'm kind of walking way out and around because of the way the sun is. If I'm not careful, I'm just going to get a lot of sunlight in the lens and you won't be able to see anything. Here we are, we're starting to get back into the shadows, and these food trucks are still going. I hope you can see all of them. I'm going to turn very slowly. Some of these are quite lively. This is such a cool area that it's just, you sit outside and it's all food trucks, and it's the church. It's not like an organized, what do you call it? Gastro park, right? It's just the church allows food trucks to exist all the way around, and they're semi-permanent. And so these places just set up, and they're not all open every day, but lots of them are open on any given day, and you can just hang out, and everyone does. It becomes the big social place to sit around the outside of the church and get food, and so it's this giant gathering spot. And then on at least this side, there are several additional restaurants that exist as well as permanent structures. So there's the place on the left that's green. I don't know what it is. We got people waving to us from shop over there, and we got an ice cream place here, and there is Guapillon, which is a relatively well-known fried chicken chain, and then this white building that people are walking into over here. I always forget their name, but it's a cake place that looks really, really cool, and I want to bring the kids here sometime, and it's called El Postrecito, which is like the little cake, basically, or the little dessert, I guess. It's got a lot of potential. It's a very cute little place. I want to check it out. This dog is stressing me out. Why is he in the street? He doesn't need to be in the street. And so this is just such a cool neighborhood. This is one of my favorite bits of León. I need to come down and hang out here more. Sometime soon, I'm going to do some videos down here of just life around here. This is the dog, just hanging out, getting food. And one of my favorite restaurants is down to the right. Now the sun is low enough I can head back a little bit down this street, which I wanted to investigate. I've never actually done this one I'm about to take, but I'm gonna have to cross all this traffic. And the dog is probably better at it than I am, so we're gonna see how this goes. Ooh, this one's big, he's coming fast. Puerto Rico. My gosh, here's the Tip Top truck. These are some of the biggest chicken distributors in the country. And in just a second, we're going to talk about multi-generational support at home. If this truck could hit the gas, then oh my gosh, you waited so long, another vehicle came up. Come on, people. All right. I'm pretty safe, I won't get run over here. Alrighty, so something that's extremely different than life in the United States, beyond the age at which people have children here, is also that, oh, they're so cute, friends in the street, that families tend to be supportive in ways that they are not in the US. In the US, you're very likely to get financial support from your family, and I don't want to pretend that you don't. That's huge, and pretty much everyone does. But there's a certain tendency towards that being sort of the extent of what we expect for support. And partially that's because there's a really high likelihood when you turn somewhere between 18 and 25 that you're probably going to at least attempt or want to move away. I'm going to turn the camera because I love this house. It's cute. And so when you do that, how's your family going to help you? It's very difficult. And so money is about the only thing that they can do. But and when you do that, right, let's say you have kids, you're 25, you need to go to work, you need to start a career, your parents are not so old that they are retired. How do they help you? Well, they work a little bit extra, they send you some money. You then use that money to pay for things like daycare and things for the kids, maybe some extra school. That then creates jobs in people who are paid to take care of your children. That cycle increases the perceived size of the economy because there's extra work being done and extra people being employed, but no extra work being accomplished. That's an interesting effect. It is a circular economic growth model that provides a perception of the economy being larger because more money is shifting hands. Not because more work is being done, but because more money is shifting hands. Because remember, the work at the end of the day that we're paying for is childcare, which has to happen regardless. Here in Nicaragua, a different effect happens. Typically, people do not move away. They either live at home. This is a cute house over here, so I'm gonna try to show it because it's such a cool design. And because people tend to live where they grew up, either in the same house and still live at home or live in the same neighborhood, one way or another, there are parents or grandparents or both who are local and available. And because there are fewer jobs and a certain cultural move towards not working more than you have to, there's a really good chance that you have some parent or grandparent who is available to assist with the care of your children. Because of this, you don't have the parent or grandparents who are working extra hours to send extra money to the kids who have the kids so that they can pay for childcare for their kids. Instead, they are probably leveraging the parents or grandparents for that. This corner is really cute. I almost never come by here, so I don't even remember where this place is. It's such a cool style. All right. And because of that effect, I'm gonna turn around and show myself a little bit. I haven't been on very much today. Hey guys. And so because the parents are taking care of the kids and no money is changing hands and no one's working extra, it gives a perception that the economy is much smaller. than it actually is. Remember, in both cases, the same amount of work is being done, but in one, we're employing an extra person to do it, and one person makes money to pay that person, but the same amount of total things is done. The children are still taken care of in both cases, just in one case by parents or grandparents of the parents, right? So grandparents or great-grandparents, and in the other case, they're being taken care of by a paid professional who probably watches multiple kids, so it's not like a one-to-one job creation. But one creates jobs and makes it look like the economy has extra people, and then the other, it does not create jobs, and it makes the economy look like it has a lot of unemployed. There's a cool restaurant on one side over there. I never walked this street, so I don't know what I'm gonna find. I know where I am. I have been here, but not very often. And this house behind me is really cute balcony, great flowers. I never gets old walking the streets of Nicaragua and finding all the cute little homes and businesses nestled in everywhere. And you know the food's gonna be fantastic. It's always a great place to get a beer. Everything's a surprise. Neighborhoods, I love neighborhoods. That's really, growing up in the country, I'm gonna talk about this for a second. So I love the orange and rocks over there, or bricks, whatever. But then this place, look how cute this place is. Right? So I grew up on a farm way out in the country. And so there was no community where I grew up. Like, that didn't exist. The concept of community didn't exist for me. My neighbors were so far away that I barely knew who they were, barely ever saw them, and they had no real daily impact on anything that I did. This is a pediatric clinic that I'm passing, and then this appears to be a pulperia attached to it. There are several cute houses along here, and this area is all trees, so I don't know. It's very interesting. But because I never had any kind of community, nothing like a city environment or even a village environment growing up, it's something that I'm always fascinated by and absolutely love. And while I like living out in the country, I like having lots of space, and I like the open wilderness, and I like the fresh air and the lack of noise. I'm used to the silence at night except for the crickets and stuff. All that is fantastic, and something that I treasure. And then this, okay, so this is my buddy Lorenzo's block, who I was supposed to see tomorrow, but end up not seeing him. But pretty soon he invited me, well, his son invited me to go out with you guys, being the people who live inside my camera. Hi, everybody. It's funny how, I'm going to talk about this in a second. But so growing up, I have this lack of community that I had as a child, and I miss it. And so as an adult, it's something I seek very heavily. And it explains a lot of both my interactions in person around the community, but it also explains a lot of why I do what I do with you guys. It's why I'm passionate about it. So I was thinking about this the other day, because we just passed 1,500 subscribers, and we're getting, I think we're at 7,000 or 8,000 views on a rolling 48-hour average. There's just so many people. And I'm talking to so many of you, which is awesome. Please comment below. You know, I love these conversations. But talking about Nicaragua, and talking about Central America, and talking about Leon and houses and moving and all those different kinds of topics. And it occurred to me how many people are now seeing Nicaragua and large portions of Nicaragua solely or primarily through the lens of my GoPro. And so it's this tiny camera that I carry with me everywhere, and it's in my hand right now. And the lens, you know, the sensor on this thing is like this big. And so at any given moment, on any given episode, about 400 of you are peering at Nicaragua through this itty bitty piece of glass that I'm carrying around in my hand. And it's weird to me to think of it in that context, that it's like there's a crowd of people living in this little box that I'm carrying around, and you guys are all here with me out on an adventure as I walk places. And it's really funny, because when you first do this kind of stuff, you feel super awkward carrying around a camera and talking to it all the time. And now I do it so much every day that I think nothing of it. And by the way, there was a request not too long ago, and you know who you are. You wanted to know how the pigs are doing. Well, there they are. They're actually out today. I hope you guys can see them. There are at least 2 pigs right there. There's a dog in the background, and there's a chicken. They should all be within sight for you. And give me just a second. I'm going to pop off. I've got a filter on. We're going to take it off. Sorry. So you should be able to see them a little bit better. I'm going to lean over as much as I can. I'm on a bridge, so I don't want to go plummeting into the river or anything. but those are the pigs. People wanted to know. There were questions. How are the pigs doing? This is where there's an episode where Kat and I are over here talking on the bridge, and this pig that I'm showing you right now showed up in the video, and he kind of has a fan base now. He is like the pig of Guadalupe, and people want to know how he's doing. So I'm gonna put my filter in my pocket because I think it's dark enough now that having a polarizer on doesn't make any sense. But I'm just loving the fact that it's like I'm carrying hundreds of you around with me at any given time, and you're hanging out here as we go for our walks around the city or wherever we go. And it's like you're the little people who live in this little box, and you look at the world through this tiny little window over on the side, and I have this little thing that shows me what you see out of that window. Sometimes it's off most of the time, but right now I turned it on just because I was spinning the camera around. And that's how I make sure I'm in the middle of the frame. But what a funny thing to think of. And I was saying I get used to talking to you guys like you're here, which is funny because when you start, you're like, I'm so nervous. I'm just talking at nothing. And now it's totally like, because I know you're going to answer me, right? So you guys are going to be like, oh, I saw the pig. And someone's going to be like, oh, I like this house. You're right. That is a cool house. And someone's going to be like, I like that neighborhood. And someone's going to be like, you should not do this. You're really dangerous, right? Those things are going to come up. And it's just completely funny to me how drastically that has changed. And now when I'm doing this, I feel like you're coming along with me and riding along inside my little box of people, and I'm actually talking to you, right? Totally different. And I think people who see me on the street think I'm completely insane because I'm at full volume speaking to you as if you're here, and it's really weird. Now I'm going to stop for a second because tomorrow, which is Monday, I was supposed to go looking at some places with Frank, but he's doing the thing that I said, which is rent for a while, at least 6 months, before looking at anything. Buenas tardes. And I was mentioning to him places that have land here in Guadalupe, because Guadalupe does have a little bit of open space. La Barrio has none. It's a very tight city over there for whatever reason to the southwest of El Centro. But here in the south of El Centro, when in a bigger barrio, there is some open space. So the place with the pigs was just back there next to the bridge. That place, in theory, could be purchased and still exist. And this place, it's gonna be impossible to see. I'm gonna turn the camera around and try to show this. This is a farm that's roughly diagonal across the road from it. So the place of the pigs is right there. That is the bridge. That's the river, so there's nothing there. This is a little tiny farmhouse. I don't know that this is currently in use by anyone, but look at this beautiful spot. If you're looking for a farm that isn't huge, this is actually a pretty good size. And you can't see it, but El Centro is actually really close there. I think this is the largest plot that is open near El Centro. Those are some serious storm clouds up there. I think we're going to get rain soon. And then this green roof here is important. I'm going to move the camera up a little bit so hopefully you can see it. But this green roof right there is the east side of the Maxi Pali in Guadalupe, the one that's near my house. So when I go to the Maxi Pali, that's the one that I go to. And once in a while I walk this road here. I'm actually going to go up a street and do a little bit that you guys probably never see. There's some cool houses here. I always like houses that are built above the road like this. So there's like this whole floor at street level, and then the house is actually up a level because they wanted to make them uniform to each other and flat, so you can see how much it goes down and the road comes up here. And then these houses have this extra floor, and then they eventually level out with where the road is. So we're going to climb up there here, and this is a beautiful house here. It's a really nice area. This is all pretty close to me, but this is Guadalupe, not La Barrio. So anyway, Frank was interested in some of that stuff, so I happened to be out walking in this area today and managed to get some of that for him. But my buddy Lorenzo wants me to take you guys out to see some of the properties that he has south of the city, out in the country actually, which will be a completely different experience. So hopefully in the next, I'm going to say 2 weeks, we are hoping to do that. Now, this place right here, I've been trying to locate. I am about 80% sure, because I'm doing it by description, this is actually a buddy of mine's place that I know from the beach, but he actually lives up here, and I know he's got a big black gate really close to this intersection. I know once in a while I see him driving around in his Hilux, and he finds me on the street, but I never see him at his house. So I think that's it. I'll try to determine sometime in the future, maybe we can get a tour of that house. That'll be interesting. And this, we are back to, should be 4th Ave in La Barrio, heading back towards the Iglesia. That's why there's so much traffic. It's always busy on 4th. Drives me crazy how much traffic there is on 4th. But it's the main thoroughfare. It is the center of La Barrio. We're still in Guadalupe, but La Barrio is going to be in like one street. So, or actually, yeah, one more street. Anyway, that is enough of me blathering on about things in Nicaragua, why things are the way they are. Food, Guadalupe, the people who live in my box. Thanks for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you want to sponsor the channel, check it out below. There is a thing to buy me a coffee. That really does send me money, like instantly. It's amazing, but you don't have to do that. It's just really appreciated. But overall, like, subscribe, tell your friends about the show. It's a great thing to watch when you have coffee every morning. And this one's really long, so when you have like several coffees, it's perfect. I will see all of you tomorrow.